When the battlefield emptied, one lie still stood. Shumba's last deception was not his sword. It was his accusation. He looked at the goddess in all her vastness and tried to call her fullness weakness. But this scroll reveals one of the deepest mysteries in Durga's hidden story. The many were never separate from the one. This is the moment the mother gathers every sacred power back into herself, stands alone in blazing truth, and destroys the final lie that divine wholeness must look small, simple, or singular. Enter this chamber with steady breath and widened sight. There is a lie spoken at the end of many battles. A lie uttered by the defeated when truth has already overturned their throne. A lie that says, if your power is vast, it must not be real. If your strength comes in many forms, it must not be whole. If you are supported by sacred forces, then surely you are not sovereign. This is the blindness of shallow power. It cannot understand fullness. It cannot recognize abundance. It mistakes multiplicity for fracture because it has never touched true wholeness. But the mother reveals a deeper law. The one can overflow without breaking. The one can become many without losing center. The one can gather all expressions back into itself and remain undiminished. This is not division. This is divine command. So enter this scroll knowing you are about to witness more than a final battle. You are about to witness exposure. You are about to witness the stripping away of the last accusation. You are about to witness the radiant terror of the goddess standing alone, not because she was ever empty, but because she was always the source. And let the hidden wisdom settle into your spirit before the first line goes deeper. Not everything within you that is many is fragmented. Some of it is proof that your soul was built from a greater wholeness than lesser minds can measure.
Channeled by your architect musician, 36110, 27 palms of eyes. The golden whisperer, sea star, Devalan see all. Apply the news you can use, truth and accuracy. The real non-bedazzled jewels.
Durga's hidden story. Shumba's last lie, when the one stood alone. There is always one final liar at the end of a sacred war. Not the loudest one, not even the strongest one. The last one. The one who, after watching his armies fall, his certainty crack, his brother collapse, and his arrogance dragged across the battlefield by consequence itself, still finds a way to say, this does not count. That was Shumbha. By now, the field had already spoken. The mothers had risen. The powers had moved. Nishumba had fallen. The false right to possess the goddess had already been split open and shown for what it was, hunger wearing jewelry. But Shumbha, like so many defeated spirits, was not ready to admit what had truly happened, because some beings would rather accuse truth of cheating than confess they were never equal to it. So he looked at the goddess and hurled one final insult. He mocked her for fighting with the help of others. That is the line. That is the rot. That is the old disease, as though the mothers around her were borrowed strength, as though the powers moving through the battlefield were separate allies she depended on, as though her multiplicity was proof of weakness. It is a deeply familiar lie. People do this even now. They see your wisdom and call it luck. They see your protection and call it outside help. They see your community, your ancestors, your disciplines, your many gifts, your many moods, your many forms of intelligence, and instead of recognizing wholeness, they sneer. You needed all that? As if being vast were somehow fraud, as if being layered were somehow unfair, as if only the empty are pure. Ridiculous species, honestly. But Shumbha was not speaking only to insult her. He was speaking from the core blindness of domination, because tyrants cannot understand power unless it looks lonely. They cannot understand strength unless it stands cut off from all relation. They cannot understand wholeness unless it has flattened itself into one acceptable shape. So the goddess answered him in the coldest way possible. She did not debate. She revealed. One by one, the mothers returned into her. The battlefield changed. The great emanations that had flashed with thunder, fang, flame, boar force, lion breath, sovereign wrath, and death-bright precision did not vanish in defeat. They folded inward, back to source, back to origin, back into the one radiant being standing before him. No panic, no strain, no collapse, just truth. Brahmani returned. Maheshvari returned, Komari returned, Vaishnavi returned, Varahi returned, Narasimhi returned, Aindri returned, Chamunda returned, and there she stood, alone if that is the word weak minds insist on using, but not alone in the way Shumbha meant, not isolated, not reduced, not emptied. She stood alone the way the sun stands alone while still being the source of many rays. She stood alone the way an ocean stands alone while still being the mother of 1,000 waves. She stood alone the way truth stands alone even when it has spoken through 100 mouths. That was the revelation. The many had never been separate from her. They were her abundance. They were her reach. They were her truth in motion. And now that abundance had gathered itself into a single blazing center, the lie had nowhere left to hide. That is the real terror of this scroll. Not just that the goddess can become many, that she can become many, then gather herself back into one and lose absolutely nothing. Shumbha had thought multiplicity meant division. He had thought support meant dependence. He had thought relationship meant weakness. He was wrong on all counts, and the final battle rose from that mistake. The texts remember that the fight surged through earth and sky. The goddess and Shumbha battled in a violence so great it felt as though the very elements were being corrected. He rose against her with all that was left of his force, but now there was no excuse left for him, no army to point at, no emanation to blame, no brother to hide behind, no story to tell himself about unfairness, just him and her. Just the stripped truth of power meeting delusion with nowhere to retreat. That is a sacred moment, because a great many people can perform confidence while surrounded by noise, followers, flatterers, stolen symbols, inherited titles, and the crowd energy of lesser minds. But remove the theater, remove the excuses, remove the borrowed stage lights, and what remains? For Shumbha, what remained was not greatness. It was exposure. He fought the one and lost. And when he fell, more than a demon fell, a lie fell. The lie that the holy must be singular in expression to be legitimate. The lie that layered power is diluted power. The lie that wholeness becomes weaker when it overflows. No. The goddess had shown the opposite. She was one when she was one. She was one when she was many. She was one when she withdrew the many back into herself. This is not mathematics for ordinary minds. It is revelation. This scroll is for everyone who has ever been accused of being too much, simply because they were not simple enough to manage. It is for those whose tenderness was called inconsistency because they were also fierce. For those whose support systems were treated like proof they were not strong. For those whose many talents made insecure people suspicious. For those whose changing seasons were mistaken for instability by souls too shallow to understand growth. Shumbha's last lie still walks the world. It says, if you are held by ancestors, you are not standing on your own. If you are strengthened by community, you are not powerful. If you have many gifts, you are scattered. If you show different faces in different seasons, you are not real. But the mother answers that lie forever. I am not less one because I contain many powers. That is wisdom with teeth. This scroll also teaches something deeper still. You do not have to reject your connections in order to be sovereign. That pathetic modern obsession with proving you need no one, owe no one, come from no one, are shaped by nothing and held by no one, is not freedom. It is usually injury wearing expensive language. The goddess is source and relation together. She is one and many together. She is self and emanation together. That means your support does not cancel your strength. Your complexity does not cancel your truth. Your relationships do not cancel your sovereignty. Your many forms do not cancel your center. In fact, the opposite may be true. Sometimes the clearest sign of inner wholeness is that many powers can move through you without breaking you apart. That is the hidden crown in this scroll. Not everyone is meant to remain one note forever. Some people are built like temples with many chambers. Some are built like songs with many movements. Some are built like divine warfields where mercy, rage, beauty, humor, discipline, grief, memory, and holy refusal all know when to step forward. That is not confusion. That is command. Shumbha could not understand it because domination only knows control, not fullness. And fullness cannot be possessed by minds trained only in control. What the goddess proved. She proved that multiplicity is not fraud. She proved that relation is not weakness. She proved that all the powers others thought were separate were flowing from one sovereign source. She proved that the one does not become smaller when she expresses herself richly. And she proved one more thing many need badly. When someone cannot defeat your truth, they will often accuse your fullness of being illegitimate. Let them. A lie thrown at the sun does not darken it. Do not let the shallow accuse your range of being weakness. Do not let the isolated define wholeness for you. Do not let those who fear your many powers shame you into shrinking down to one manageable version of yourself. The mother stood as many. The mother stood as one. The mother lost nothing in either form. And neither do you. Seal of the scroll. My fullness is not fraud. What moves through me does not divide me. I can be many and still stand as one.
Universal Current, Sea Receipt, Architect Musician, 3611027. The Graceful Whisperer, Devalan, Ahll.
Shumbha's final lie was simple. He mistook the goddess's vastness for weakness. But the mother gathered every sacred power back into herself and proved the truth. The one can become many, remain whole, and still stand alone in power. I can be many and still stand as one. My fullness is not fraud. What moves through me does not divide me.
To our beautiful collective, from our day ones to every new soul joining this journey, we love and appreciate you deeply. You've turned this space into so much more than a community, you've made it a family. Thank you, truly. Your presence, your energy, and even the smallest acts of kindness have the power to shift the compass for many in ways unseen but deeply felt. Here's to each of you, all new and the many more to come. We're just getting started and we're so grateful you're here with us. With love and infinite appreciation from the collective of Shaman Ahll.